Happy New Year. This is Cynthia Fick, and this is the January 6th stock market update. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about 2025 in review and also discuss some things people were saying about the stock market this time last year. So in 2025, here's some forecasts that were out there for 2025. The first one being that we were going to have a recession. We're going to be a hard landing. Inflation hadn't really come down enough, and it was projected that we'd have some sort of recession last year. Well, growth was stronger. The Q3 real GDP number was up 4.3%. That's the strongest in 2 years. So that was one prediction. And then the reality of what happened by the end of the year. The second thing is stocks can't do well with all this uncertainty. After the election, about 50% of the population wasn't very happy about it. And there was so much uncertainty. We were waking up every morning, there was something new announced, and it led to a lot of uncertainty. People just had a very gloom and doom opinion. Remember me asking to you all year, really, to keep an open mind about things maybe being a little bit better than you thought they might be. US equities, it was a very volatile year, but the S&P 500 ended up over 16% for the year. So a lot of volatility, but again, another really good year for the stock market. The third thing was that the Federal Reserve we're probably going to have higher rates for longer, and that there probably wouldn't be any rate cuts. That's what they were saying in the first part of 2025. Well, we know the reality is that we got three rate cuts, and that ended up being a super positive for the stock market also. The fourth thing is that when the tariffs were announced, it was said that they were going to cause a 1929 type of outcome, a recession, a depression, and things were just going to be terrible. And that's why the stock market initially traded down almost 20%. And the reality is that although tariffs drove volatility, we ended up having another kind of V-shaped recovery once we saw that it was a little bit more negotiable than we first thought. And the stock market came kind of roaring back in the last part of the year. The fifth thing, AI, it was just too much CapEx. It was too narrow, too few stocks were doing well. And, that just couldn't last, and those stocks wouldn't continue to lead the market. Well, as we saw, a lot of those stocks did fantastic in 2025. The earnings were really strong. The earnings can back up the price and the price to earnings ratios, which is very different than it's been in the past. And now everybody's, well, maybe this artificial intelligence thing really, can change the world. We'll see. So a lot of things have changed in 2025. A lot of the predictions and forecasts ended up being wrong. So we'll just see what they come out about 2026. Okay. Next week, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about what I think might be happening in 2026. It could be another repeat of 2025 in a sense, because again, there may be some news that comes out that something big is going to change or may affect the economy, the stock market, and the market's not going to like that. So next week I'll be talking about forecasts and predictions and tell you what I think might happen in 2026. Hope you have a great week. Glad we're all back, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.